Hi everyone, thank you for joining me. Lots of new Spellbinders goodies have been used for this project. Gift bag, Splatter, Swallowtail Tags, and Butterfly Burst. These sweet gift bags have been dressed up for a spring or Easter celebration, but they would be perfect for any occasion. And as usual, you'll find links to all the products used in the description of this YouTube video or on my blog at bonniecarolee.com. There are 2 dies in the gift bag die set. Each one is cut 2 times. 2 sides for each bag have been die cut, and I'm going to emboss them using the new embossing folder Splatter. I'm inking up the flat side of the embossing folder with Distress Oxide inks and a brayer. I find that by using a brayer, I get a nice smooth application of ink. This first bag has been die cut from a very soft pink cardstock. Distress Oxide ink, dried marigold, has been applied to the folder. And the result is this pretty peachy background with soft pink paint splatters. And both sides of the first bag are now ready to go. To get ready for the next set of panels, I just use a wet one. After giving the folder a wipe, the same towelette is used to roll out the brayer. These next 2 panels have been die cut from ivory cardstock. I'm applying antique linen to the folder. This will have a much more subtle effect. The ink is applied several times on the folder until it has a very smooth and even appearance. The process to emboss the panels for all 4 gift bags took no time at all, and that includes the cleanup in between each pair of panels. The cardstock that was die cut for this gift bag is still a soft pink, but not as soft as the first gift bag, and I'm applying worn lipstick to the embossing folder. I'm using Spellbinders Platinum Die Cutter to do my embossing. The sandwich that worked best for me was to use the platform, followed by the folder, and then a sheet of copy paper that was folded in half for double strength, so to speak, and then the top cutting plate. The bottom cutting plate was not used. As you are rolling the folder through the die cutter, you do want to feel some resistance, but you don't want to have to work too hard at it. If you do, you could damage the folder. The very last pair of panels were out of white cardstock, and I just embossed them with no inking at all. The gift bags are very easy to put together. Even though the panels are embossed, the score lines are visible. I began by folding the 3 vertical score lines. Following each fold, I used my bone folder to get a nice crisp edge. And there is the 3rd vertical score line. It already becomes quite clear how this bag is going to come together. There's just the 1 horizontal score line. In the large rectangular section of that fold, there are 2 diagonal score lines that form a triangle. It doesn't matter which end you start at, but the crease will be made from the outer edge of the panel going up only to the horizontal crease line. And now for the second side of the bag, there are the 3 vertical score lines that need to be folded and burnished. When I make my folds, I do a double check just to make sure everything is square, even at the top and even at the bottom. Then the horizontal score line is folded and burnished. And finally, the 2 diagonal score lines are folded and burnished only from the horizontal crease line to the outer edge. When putting together gift bags or boxes, I like to use a really strong adhesive. I'm using a double-sided tape by Sue Kwang. This is a 1/4 inch wide, and it is being applied to the edge of the panel that has the 1 vertical score line. The two panels are oriented correctly. I have the bottoms at the top, and then I just simply take the one panel and push it up to the first crease line of the second panel. The backing is removed from the other piece of tape. The panels are folded over and I make sure that they are aligned at the top, and the panel that will be sitting on top of the other one needs to butt right up against the crease line. And now to complete the bottom of the bag. I'm going to flip it over, push the sides inwards, and you'll end up with two triangular flaps. I want my flaps to lay nice and flat, so I'm going to open them up again, and I'm going to take some of the double-sided tape and I'm going to run it down the edge of the triangle on both sides. And I do that on both sides of the bag. So altogether I have 4 pieces of double-sided tape following the inside of the crease lines of the triangles. And when the backing paper is removed, I just push those sides in again, and my flaps will be nice and flat and secure. Now all I have to do is adhere the 2 triangular flaps to the bottom of the bag. 2 pieces of double-sided tape are placed on the bottom flap, and I'm going to fold that in first. And then the second flap is adhered on top. And to make sure that there's good contact between the adhesive and the bag, I put my hand inside the bag and apply some pressure. Just a quick review, the 3 vertical score lines are creased and burnished. Then the 1 horizontal line is folded and burnished. Then finally the 2 diagonal crease lines are folded over and burnished from the horizontal crease line to the outside edge. Double-sided tape is applied to both panels on the side with 1 vertical score line. The panels are oriented correctly. The panel without the adhesive will sit right up against the crease line of the second panel. The backing is removed from the second strip of adhesive, and then the panel without the adhesive again meets right up along that crease line of the second panel. Then I do a little bit of creasing to help with the memory, fold the flaps in, open them up, and get ready to put the adhesive along the inside crease lines of the triangles. After the backing is removed from the adhesive, I can fold those sides in again, reform my triangles, and then press down, and I have my flaps. After I've applied the adhesive to the inside of both of my flaps, I put my hand inside the bag and apply some pressure to make sure that there's good contact between the paper and the adhesive. A lot of the decorating for these bags will come from a beautiful die set called Butterfly Burst. Both the brushes and the handles have been die cut from the same cardstock of the bag that they will be going on to. The brush and the ferrule have been die cut from matte gold cardstock. I'm going to do some gold embossing on the tip of the brushes, and so first I did all of the inking, just tapping the tips of the brushes onto the Versamark, and then after it's coated with the embossing powder, it's heat set. The paintbrush is assembled easily. I first adhere the ferrule and then adhere 2 of the brushes. When the die is used for the paintbrush, it actually produces 2 separate die cuts, the main handle and then the tip of the handle. So I already had a tip that was out of cardstock, and then I cut the other one out of matte gold cardstock and stacked it for a little bit of dimension. For each bag, I've die cut 3 large butterflies and 3 small ones. This cute die set comes with a handful of butterfly styles in different sizes. The larger butterflies are layered, and so the base has been die cut from matte gold cardstock, and then the detail has been cut out of cardstock that matches the bags that they will go with. For the detail die cut, I'm scoring it in the middle. I place it on my scoreboard and center it over a score line. And then I just do a little bit of a sawing motion. You don't need much, just to score the middle so I can easily fold it. A little bit of adhesive is added to that fold line, and then it is adhered to the matte gold die cut. When these are completely dry, the bodies are picked up with a jewel picker and adhered to the crease line of the butterflies. For each bag, 3 die cuts of the small butterfly were done in the matte gold cardstock, and they were also creased down the middle. Using the same cardstock that was used for each bag, 2 borders were die cut using Spellbinders Romantic Slimline borders. Scored each border at 2.5 and 5.5, and making sure that I just press on it because they're quite delicate. These will be adhered to the top of the bag, and I want my seams to be at the sides, so I first just put some glue in that center section and adhere it to the front of the bag. I do the same thing for the other side. I trim off some of the excess, making sure that they will still overlap. The 2 overlapping pieces are held together and cut down the middle. And of course I do the other side the same way, first trimming off the excess, holding the overlapping pieces together and cutting down the middle. These are finished up by adding a little bit of adhesive to the top and bottom of the lacy border and adhered. 2 different styles of borders were used. This is a really pretty finishing touch for the top of each bag. Now to decorate the front. Remember, the little tip of the paintbrush is separate, so I'm going to glue that down first, and then my brush will go on diagonally across my bag. I'm pretty sure that I forgot to mention that the handle has some embossing on it. All I did was just take the edge of the handle, run it along my Versamark ink, and then add the embossing powder. The gift bag set comes with a die to cut the handles. First, one side is glued, and I just wait a couple of minutes for it to set up. And then the other side is twisted over, and I try to keep them equal distance from the edge of the bag, and it is adhered. And when the second handle is added, I more or less try to make sure it is aligned with the one on the other side. The spring die cut sentiment was borrowed from an older set called Spring Together Lever Pull. It was die cut from matte gold cardstock. Then all the butterflies were adhered. I also foiled a cute sentiment, Handmade for You, from Mini Everyday Sentiments. This sentiment strip was die cut with the new die set Swallowtail Tags. It was adhered by slipping it under one of the butterflies near the top of the bag. And that wraps up this sweet project featuring Spellbinders Gift Bag. With the addition of the Splatter Embossing Folder, Butterfly Burst, and Swallowtail Tags, my bags are ready for Easter. This was such a fun project, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. As always, I appreciate your visit.